There was a huge historic debate last week between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. Let's just get right into it. What are your takeaways? What's your reaction?
Well, my takeaways is that Donald Trump did what Donald Trump always does, which is exaggerate, be hyperbolic, and frankly, many times lie on the record. And we had Joe Biden, who was just not in a position to be able to counter that at all. In fact, Joe Biden was falling even below the low expectations that many Republicans had for him going into the debate. And so I feel like, like most Americans, I think it was not Joe Biden's night. It was not a great debate for him, and it really shook up the race because now a lot of people are looking at me as a younger candidate, and they are really excited about seeing somebody who's not 80 years old.
You bring up an interesting point of a lot of people said it wasn't Joe Biden's night, but do you think that this could be chalked up to a bad debate or something more serious where we saw his mental acuity on full display on Thursday?
Oh, I think it is just a full example of the emperor having no clothes, that so many of the advisors around Joe Biden were like, oh no, he's so sharp behind the scenes. He's so great behind. Don't pay any attention to what you're saying in public. He's great from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Frankly, we need a president who can be on duty 24 hours a day. I work early mornings, late nights campaigning, and I have the energy and vigor to keep doing that. And I think what we saw in the debate is indicative of Joe Biden, and that the fact that he is not the Joe Biden that he was of 4 years ago, 8 years ago. If you just look at differences between, say, his 2012 vice presidential debate and his debate tonight, it is like two completely different candidates, or his debate last week, rather.
Yeah, and we saw that on social media. Many clips were floating from his debate in 2012 against Paul Ryan. There were other debates too where there was a visible difference there. And Democrats have really said and have pinned themselves as the party that is trying to save democracy. And then a lot of voters, Democratic voters, felt disenfranchised and really gaslit and lied to when they saw that debate on Thursday. So how are you trying to win those voters over to vote Libertarian?
Well, first off, we want to know that we respect those voters, their voices, and their values, unlike the Democratic Party, who didn't even really have a primary process for those voters to voice their dissatisfaction or to find another candidate to support. And I want to tell those voters that I'm somebody that you don't have to agree with me 100% of the time, but I'm going to be straight with you. I'm not going to, I'm not going to BS you about my mental acuity or the fact that, he's just so sharp. We need to do that because I'm under the age of 40. I'm working age. I'm somebody who goes to, who regularly gets up, goes to work every single day. I have to juggle my entire life all the time. I'm the guy who gets like 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night, if that, on a good night. And yet I can still keep going. And so that's something that I hope voters can see, that I'm somebody who is pro-choice. And certainly if I had been on that debate stage, I could have defended the pro-choice position far better than than Joe Biden did against Donald Trump.
There have been a lot of calls for Joe Biden to step down, step aside. Do you echo those calls?
Well, I think he's probably an easier candidate to run against, honestly. So for me, strategically, he should probably want to stay in there. But I think Democrats right now are very worried. And I think the likelihood of seeing a brokered convention where they're selecting their delegate on the floor, or their candidate on the floor from the delegates, rather, is it's going up. I would have said before the debate, it's like a 90% chance Joe Biden is going to be the nominee, barring some sort of health complication. Now I think that's closer to like a 50-50 chance. I think Democrats are running scared. They're looking for options. And that could lead to a very interesting convention. But I just don't know if there's enough time for any candidate who gets nominated in August to really lay down the groundwork and have that effective kind of campaign.